Hello students, once again welcome to our history class. Today we are starting with our second chapter, Sources of History. This chapter will cover 5 points. First point, material source. Second point, written source. Third point, oral source. Fourth point, sources of ancient Indian history. Fifth point, precautions to be taken while writing history. These points would be covered in this chapter. Before starting the chapter, try this. Make a list of things in your house which belongs to your grandparents' time. Collect the information about an old structure in your locality. This will give you an idea about how the sources of history are collected. There are a number of objects which are used by our ancestors. These objects still exist. Some are inscriptions from the past. These inscriptions have been recorded. Sources like these help us to understand our history. History can also be learned through various customs, traditions, folk arts, folk literature, as well as historical documents. All these are the sources of history. These are of three types. The sources of history are of three types from which we can study the history. They are material source, written source, and oral source. So, let us begin with material source. Man uses a variety of things in his day-to-day life. They are known as artifacts. Artifacts used by humans in past provide us valuable information about life in the ancient times. We can decide the period of ancient artifacts like earthen pots by studying their shape, color, design on ancient potsherds. Ornaments and other artifacts also throw light on the social interaction of the people of ancient period. We get information about the diet of the people from the remains of the food grains, seeds, and the bones of the animals that were found or that are found even till today in the excavation. Excavation means a process digging the material from the earth and removing out. We also find the remains of the house and buildings built in different historical periods. We also find ancient coins and seals. All these give us the information about human activities in the past. All such artifacts, articles, monuments, ruins are called the material source of the history. Do you know food grains do not last long? They get easily infested and turn into powder. In ancient times, people used to roast food grains before grinding them, as even we do it today also. If a few grains got charred while roasting, they were thrown away. Such charred grains can remain intact for a very long period. During excavation, Such charred grains can be recovered. When these are inspected in a laboratory, we come to know what grain it is. Students, do you know this? Written sources of history includes the inscriptions that is carved on the temple walls, walls of rock-cut caves and rocks, inscriptions on copper plates, pots, bricks, and on writing sheets made from the palm trees and birch bark, etc. So, let us see what is written source. The Stone Age people have recorded many events and expressed their emotions in paintings on rock. It was only after thousands of years that man learnt the art of writing. But in beginning, man used symbols and signs to record their thoughts and their ideas. However, it took thousands of years for a script to develop from this. In the beginning, when men started writing, he wrote on potsherds, unbaked bricks, using pointed objects like what we have today, a pen or a pencil. He also used birch, that is burja tree's bark, to write on it. As his experiences and knowledge increased, he began to write it in different ways. He began to record the events that took place around him. Accounts of proceedings of royal courts were also written systematically. We have a number of records, stories of Akbar and Birbal, or many such stories. Many rulers had their orders, judicial decisions, donations, etc. inscribed on stones and copper plates. Over a period of time, many forms of literature developed. These literature included books on religious and social subjects, plays, stories, poetries, travelogues. Travelogues means people who traveled from one place to other. They wrote their opinion or their views. That is travelogues. Scientific work, etc. All these literatures help us to understand the history of various historical periods. This is what is altogether is known as written sources of history. Now, students, do you know Bhurja Patra means writing sheet. This writing sheet was made from one of the bark of the tree, and that tree is called as birch tree. Bhurja is the Sanskrit name of this birch tree. Now, where can we find this tree? Yes, this tree is specially found in the Kashmir state. This was all about the second lesson's first 2 points, that is material source and return source. This chapter is divided into 2 parts. The next part will have 3 points: oral source, sources of ancient Indian history, precaution to be taken while writing history. Thank you for